So, if anyone remembers Agenda 21, one of the guides to Agenda 21 was that they were going to claim that meat, right, that vegetables grown that are not regulated. They didn't use the word regulated, but the way I understood it was regulated, meaning if it's not, it has the official sticker or been scanned. They weren't used by certain seeds. That there's a day that's going to come where they're going to declare these are all dangerous, they're poisonous, you name it, get rid of them. You can only eat what the government and the corporations of the government provide you. And that people outside the system would be starved to death for not going along with this. That if they grow their own food, their food will be taken from them. They grow their own, if they have their own cattle, their cattle will be eliminated. So I see this stuff when they want you to eat synthetic meat. And in other nations in the so-called Middle East are already promoting eating insects, patties, or burgers that are supposed to be made up of insects, and that you can't tell the difference. It just all tastes like meat. You know, I see that and I'm like, it jogs my memory back to these videos and times when I was watching stuff like this. And it's like, that's what we're looking at. That's what's coming down the pipe. But you think the rich and famous are going to eat like that? No. But it also reminds me of Babylon, right? In the story of Daniel and his three companions, right? And how the king had his own meat, and everyone that ate their meat were sick and gangly, but they ate the specific diet of vegetables and water, and they were healthy, right? So are we entering into a time where, hey, you know, if you're not eating like that already, get used to that, right? Get back on track with that. Get your body back into enjoying specific fruits and vegetables, right? And get off of this, you know, the diet that you're on now. So here in the New York Times, polio has been detected in New York City wastewater, officials say. So it was brought to my attention that, and because I don't watch the news and because I just, you turn that stuff on and all it is lies, 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 commercials, lies, lies, lies. So I don't watch that stuff, right? So it was brought to my attention, New York State has been placed into a state of emergency over cases of polio. And I'm like, polio? Wow. Way to just throw that one out there, right? Well, what else are we going to bring out from the past? I mean, I know they claim the perfect virus is going to be, what was it, another bird flu. That what we just went through is not supposed to be the big one. That the big one's going to be another bird flu virus. So, but yeah, so to hear polio brought up, I'm like, okay, let's see how the people freak out about that, because you see all this is it's conquer and rule by fear, right? The people give up everything because they're afraid, right? It's never, let's have rational, you know, conversations. Let's stop and think, ask questions. If you ask questions, you're not, you know, going along with the narrative and so on and so forth. So you're a dissenter, and that's bad. You know, you don't have a license in that field. So, you know, meaning you're not a journalist. You didn't go and pay, you know, $60 million for a 4-year degree in journalism, or $180,000, sorry, in you know, to become a medical doctor for 12 years, stuff like that, right? So if you didn't do that, you don't have a license, so you're not allowed to speak on these things. You're not allowed to ask these things. Don't you always love it too when they always say experts say, but they never tell you who the expert is? Like, take someone that's a fanatic about Star Wars, right? What's the difference between them and an expert? Especially if you don't know their name, you don't know, you know, what makes them the expert. I always love that when they bring that up. Experts say, you know, this and this is harmful for you. You know, instead of doctor says this, or you know, congressman says that, or attorney say this. You know, so you can pinpoint who's saying it and get to an idea of why and how it would benefit them to say that, and how it wouldn't benefit them. So, but I'm still looking for the measles one, right? Or the mumps. That's what it was, the mumps. Because in what's that movie there? Postman with Kevin Costner. The mumps virus was unleashed, and then at least in that movie, it put a halt to, you know, people making babies. So I'll, before before I end this video, I'll I'll show you the podcast that I'm listening to, these podcasts, but where this is coming from, the inspiration for this. So I'm listening to these mythology, you know, on the ride into work and from work, and like I said, there's some Irish goddesses that they're being discussed, or were discussed, I should say, that are being compared to these goddesses of Babylon. And again, I have to say, the two hosts of the podcast are supposed to be from Ireland, born and raised, and they're talking about, you know, people or deities that we've never even heard of before, or I've never heard of before. I shouldn't say we, because I don't know what you know, but what I've never heard of. Okay, so it catches my attention when they themselves say, "Oh, this sounds like so and so from Babylon," and they mention these names, and they're names of people from Babylon or deities of Babylon that I don't even know. I mean, Ishtar, stuff like that. No, this is other names, right? So one thing led to another, where someone was like, "This sounds like Zeus," and they were reading comments from their subscribers, and people brought up that Zeus sounds like something from one of the Hindu gods, right? So I started looking into, it was Zeus related to these Hindu gods, and you know, I've seen a guy basically break it down that the people that we call Europeans once lived in Asia. You know, he uses that term. They were Indo-Europeans, but Lex has explained what Indo-European is, and that's, so he was misusing it, but he's trying to explain that that's where they got it. They were in India. They left India. When they left India, they took the idea of their deities with them to Europe and changed their names the longer they lived in Europe. All right. So like Apollo, right? Apollo is supposed to be Vishnu, was another one. And Hercules is Kushna or Kishna.
Similarities between Krishna and Hercules. Krishna's killing of Kalinga is similar to Hercules with Hydra. Heracles or Hercules, Greek mythology. Krishna's killing of Kesi, Arishtasura, Kamsa and Hercules' stepmother have a striking parallel, Hercules lifting the world legend. These are very close to Krishna. It is of interest to note that Hercules is also associated with, as Balarama, Lord Shiva. This information of Greek god being Krishna may prove to be incorrect. But it proves Krishna legend was so alive. I am of the opinion Krishna is a historical figure, that the Greeks took him to Greece.
So here it is. Hold on, let me go back up here to the top. Irish Mythology Podcast. And all the way down here. There we go. The Maiden of Mayhem is the one, I believe that's the one where, or is the one before that, the Song of or whatever that is, was where I think they mentioned her first and brought up the similarities. So, and lastly, what is the name of the witch from Hansel and Gretel and many of these other Slavic stories? Baba Yaga.